Hello friends, I am 𝞐𝖎 Joshua from 2nd BA English, K.C.S.Kasi Nadar Arts and Science College. Today we see the short story from Edgar Allan Poe. The title name is The Cask of Amontillado. First let's see the introduction of author. The Edgar Allan Poe was born 1809 of traveling actors and actresses in Boston. Both the parents dying in early youth, he was adopted by the Allens. His foster father was very strict and miserly. Edgar became disillusioned and took to gambling and drinking. Many stories and poems, all centering on abnormal mental process. Poe is noted for his horror stories and poems. He shows murder committed on an extremely flimsy ground. In the short story, The Cask of Amontillado, one monstrous murdered a drunkard by name Fortunato for the simple reason that the latter has insulted him, besides injuring him on several occasions. The reader is not informed what the insult and the injury is. The very vagueness of the accusation intensifies the horror of the murder. Edgar Allan Poe develops the theme that the loftiness is a destructive force by showing the cruelties that Montrose will go to in order to exact revenge of Fortunato. The Cask of Amontillado is a short story that describes the revenge between two people for an offense that is never explained. Montrose takes advantage of drunk Fortunato with a promise of a taste of Amontillado. It's a type of wine. When the two men reach the last underground part, Montrose enchains Fortunato to the wall, builds a new one to seal him in and leave him alive to death. Here, the story allusion part is, it was about dusk one evening during the supreme madness of the carnival season that I encountered my friend. Here, a picture given a carnival in an Italian town. In this story, two important characters there are Montrose and Fortunato. Montrose, the narrator never revealed how Fortunato insulted him. Fortunato was an Italian nobleman with a liking for fine wine. Characters and personalities. Fortunato, a respected and feared man, an Italian friend of Montrose, is a connoisseur of wine, and at least on the night of the story, cloud his senses and judgment by drinking too much of it. He allows himself to be led into the catacombs by Montrose, a cold, ruthless and calculating man. However, the ruthless of Montrose made him took revenge of his friend and killed him. The setting in this story has a special purpose. Fortunato is eventually trapped in a space that represents the opposite of freedom. He is chained up and bricked inside a crypt with no air and no way out. What Montrose wishes to do is tell this story, which means that the story has him trapped, he can't forget it, and he has to talk about it in his mind. He is still down there in the hole with Fortunato. Plot. The story is logical. Fortunato and Montrose have a history, and a painful one at that. Fortunato has insulted by Montrose 1,000 times and he never complains. But one day Fortunato goes too far. He insults for Montrose and he vows revenge. Point of view. The narrator is one Montrose. He wants to take revenge on one Fortunato. The Fortunato offense is that he had not only injured Montrose several times but also insulted him. Montrose cannot put up with Fortunato's insulting treatment. Fortunato is very proud of his connoisseurship in wine. He is hopeful distinguishing good from bad wine. Montrose said that he has purchased a barrel of Amontillado. He says that he is very unhappy because he has paid the full price for Amontillado without consulting Fortunato about the purity of the wine. He says that he is on his way to consult Lucchesi, who is also regarded as a connoisseur in wine. Fortunato is stung to the quick. He says that the Lucchesi is an ignoramus who cannot distinguish even sherry from Amontillado. Montrose said that he has kept the cask of Amontillado in an underground cellar. Fortunato at once adjusts Montrose to take him there. Montrose pretends to be unwilling to do so. He says Fortunato that the cellular is damp with a coating of nitrate and that it will be worsen Fortunato's bad cold. But Fortunato insists on being taken there. Montrose plies him with Modoc and Degrave. Montrose takes Fortunato to the catacombs where his fourth father lies buried. Human remains such as bones are found scattered there. Suddenly, Montrose pushes the drunken Fortunato down, chains him, and using a trowel, quickly builds a wall round him. Finally, Fortunato is suffocated to death. Conclusion. As a conclusion, the Cask of Amontillado makes the reader reflect upon the importance that when we stop to think about our action, as a Montrose did not, we should realize that violence is never a good way to solve our problems. When we want to act with violence, we must pause and reflect on the futility of violence in the past and in the present. And we should always remind that there are better ways to solve our conflicts. In this way, the story becomes a Gothic fiction of murder and mystery. The protagonist Montrose could not bear the insult to his honorable family and resolved to exact revenge by killing Fortunato. He resolved to kill him to exact revenge and still should not suffer himself. That is why after having a great motivation, he makes a great plan and finally bring him to the catacomb in his villa and builds a wall in the front of him after chaining him to the pillar. This is how the story Cask of Amontillado becomes a great story of murder. Thank you.